Nick stared at his laptop screen at 11 at night, and the numbers did not care that he was tired. Credit card balance, $4,200. Savings account, $180. He had done the math 3 times, hoping it would change. It never did. That same week, his coworker Lucas mentioned something small at lunch. He said he had never once carried a balance on a credit card, not once, in his whole life. Nick laughed at first, thinking it was a brag. Then he realized Lucas wasn't bragging. He was just describing normal life in Germany. That one comment sent Nick down a rabbit hole. What he found wasn't a trick or a hack. It was a completely different way of thinking about money, built into German culture from childhood. There's a word for it, Sparsamkeit. It doesn't just mean frugal. It means treating your money with respect, as part of who you are, not just something you manage when things get tight. Here's the real difference. In America, we're taught how to handle debt, budgeting apps, minimum payments, credit score tricks. In Germany, kids are taught something else entirely, how to never need debt in the first place. That single shift in thinking changes everything downstream. Nick took 7 of these rules and applied them to his own life. No extreme sacrifice, no spreadsheets at 2 a.m., just 7 habits, borrowed from a culture that treats saving as identity, not punishment. 14 months later, that $4,200 balance was gone. In its place sat $6,000 in savings and a bank account he actually felt calm looking at. Here are the 7 rules that got him there. And step 1 is the one almost every American skips completely. Section 1. Let's talk about your first rule, Handgeld. It's a German word. It means money in hand. Simple as that. This idea comes from a time after big wars in Europe. Banks were shaky. Paper promises felt weak. People didn't trust credit. They trusted what they could hold. So families kept cash in envelopes, tins, and jars. If the cash was gone, the spending stopped. No debt, no surprise bills later. Here's why this old trick still works today. Your brain feels pain when you hand over real cash, real bills, real coins. That pain makes you pause. It makes you think twice before you buy. But a card doesn't hurt the same way. You tap it, and it's done in 1 second. No sting, no pause. Your brain barely notices the money left your hand at all. That's the trap. Cards and apps make spending feel like nothing. So we spend more than we mean to, without even feeling it happen. Nick found this out the hard way. He had a $400 grocery budget every month. He used his card for all of it. Tap, tap, tap. Easy, fast, painless. But by the end of most months, he was over budget. He never knew where the extra money went. So he tried something different. He pulled out $400 in cash and put it in an envelope. Just for groceries. No card, no app, just bills in his hand. The first week, something changed. He stood in the checkout line and counted his cash before he paid. He put back a few snacks he didn't need. He skipped the fancy coffee he usually grabbed on the way out. Why? Because handing over real money felt different. It felt like it mattered. By the end of the month, Nick had spent only $310. He didn't cut anything huge. He just felt every dollar leave his hand. That feeling was enough to change his choices. This is the power of Handgeld. When money feels real, you treat it like it's real. And that alone can save you more than you think. Section 2. Now let's look at your second rule, Sparkontozwang. In German, this means forced savings account. It's not a suggestion. It's a system. This habit comes from how German banking grew over the years. Banks there set up savings accounts to be separate from daily spending accounts. On purpose. A savings account was built to hold money, not move it. It usually has no debit card, no easy transfers, no quick way to touch it. Compare that to how most Americans bank. Checking and savings often sit in the same app, sometimes even the same account view. Both are linked to a debit card. Both are one tap away. That setup feels convenient, but convenience is exactly the problem. Think of it like keeping a bag of chips on your kitchen counter while you're trying to eat less. The chips aren't the enemy. The easy access is. If your savings sits right next to your spending money, and both are just as easy to reach, your brain treats them the same. Money you meant to save quietly becomes money you spend without thinking. Germans fix this with distance. Not distance in miles, but distance in effort. Their savings accounts are built to be a little annoying to use. That small bit of friction is the whole point. It buys you time to think before you touch that money. You can copy this without moving to Germany. Set up an automatic transfer of $150 every month into a savings account with no debit card attached. Pick a bank that's different from your everyday checking bank if you can. Make it a small hassle to log in and move funds out. That small hassle is your friend. It's the pause between wanting something and buying it. Most people, once they are forced to wait even a day, decide they don't need it after all. This isn't about willpower, it's about design. Build a system where saving happens automatically, and spending your savings takes real effort. Do that, and your money grows quietly in the background, whether you're thinking about it or not. Section 3. Let's move to the third rule, the Schufa mentality. Schufa is the name of Germany's credit system, but the mindset behind it flips something we take for granted here in America. In the US, we chase a high credit score. We're told a big number opens doors, so we take out loans, use credit cards, and pay things off just to build that score higher. The system rewards debt, as long as you handle it well. Germany works differently. Schufa doesn't care as much about a high score. It cares about a clean record. Did you pay on time? Did you avoid debt you didn't need? That matters more than proving you can juggle 5 credit cards. In Germany, a thin file with no missed payments can be worth more than a thick file full of loans. This comes from a deep respect for staying debt-free. Many Germans see borrowing as a last resort, not a first move. Financing something you can't pay for right away isn't seen as smart planning. It's seen as risky. Nick's friend Mark ran into this idea by accident. He wanted a new couch for his apartment. The store offered him easy financing, small monthly payments. 0% interest for a year. It sounded perfect, but Mark paused. He thought about it like this. If he couldn't pay for the couch in full today, did he really need it right now? He decided to wait. He saved for 2 months instead. Then he bought the couch in cash. No financing, no monthly bill hanging over him. Was it harder? A little. He sat on a folding chair for a while. But when he finally bought that couch, it was fully his. No payments left. No debt tied to his name. That's the heart of the Schufa mentality. Don't buy something just because you can split the cost into small pieces. Ask if you truly need it now, or if you can wait and pay for it outright. A clean record beats a busy one. Fewer loans, fewer payments, fewer strings attached to your money. That's not old-fashioned thinking. That's financial freedom, built one honest payment at a time. Section 4. Now let's talk about the fourth rule, bar bezahlen. That's German for paying in cash, for big purchases, not just groceries or coffee, but the big stuff. A new TV, a trip, a piece of furniture. In Germany, cash for big buys isn't old-fashioned, it's normal. Many people save up first, then pay the full price on the spot, no plan. No split payments, no interest ticking away in the background. Here in America, we do things differently. Credit card debt has become part of daily life. Nearly half of American cardholders carry a balance from month to month. That means close to half of us aren't paying our full bill each month. We're paying interest on top of what we already spent, month after month, without much thought. This didn't happen by accident. It grew alongside a bigger shift, buy now, pay later culture. Stores make it so easy to split a purchase into 4 small payments. Apps make it feel harmless, almost fun. But every time we say yes to pay later, we're really saying yes to spending money we don't have yet. Think about it like eating dessert before dinner every single night. It feels good in the moment, but your body still has to deal with it later. Debt works the same way. The bill always comes. It just comes with extra cost attached, in the form of interest. Bar bezahlen flips this pattern. If you can't pay for something today, in full, you wait, you save first, you buy it once, with real money, and you own it outright the moment you walk out the door. This isn't about denying yourself nice things, it's about timing. Pay before you enjoy something, not after. That one shift removes interest completely from the picture. It also builds a habit of patience, which pays off far more than any store discount ever will. Big purchases paid in cash may feel slower, but slower without debt beats fast with a bill hanging over you for months to come. Section 6. Let's move faster now and cover 3 rules at once, since they all point in the same direction. Rule 6 is Vereinskultur, which means club culture. In Germany, people join local clubs for hobbies. Sports, music, chess, hiking. These clubs cost very little, sometimes just a few dollars a month. Compare that to how we do hobbies here. We stack up subscriptions, a streaming app for shows, another app for workouts, another for meditation. Each one feels small, maybe $15 a month. But add up 4 or 5 of these, and you're paying $60 or more every single month for things a local club could give you for a fraction of the cost, plus real people to enjoy it with. Rule 7 is Gebrauchtwaren zuerst, which means used goods first. In Germany, buying secondhand isn't a last resort. It's the first choice for big-ticket items. Furniture, appliances, even bikes. Picture a dresser that costs $600 new. The same dresser, gently used, might cost $150. Same function, same years of use left, a fraction of the price. Before buying anything big and new, ask if a used version could do the exact same job. Rule 8 is Minimalismus als Statussymbol. That means minimalism as a status symbol. Here's the twist. In many parts of American culture, status comes from what you show off. A new car, a big house, flashy stuff. In Germany, and in this new mindset we're building, status flips. It comes from restraint. From owning less, but owning it outright. Think about 2 people with the same car. One leases a new model for $500 a month, forever tied to a payment. The other bought a solid used car years ago, paid it off, and now pays nothing but gas and insurance. From the outside, the leased car might look shinier, but the paid-off car is the real flex. No debt, no monthly bill, just quiet freedom. That's the thread through all 3 rules. Spend less on stacked extras, buy used before new, and treat owning it fully as the real status symbol, not the newest thing, the paid-for thing. Section 7. Let's finish with the last 2 rules, then tie everything together. Rule 9 is Credit als letzte Option, meaning credit as a last resort. In Germany, debt isn't something you use for fun purchases or daily life. It's saved for one thing, buying something that grows in value over time. A home is the clearest example. A house can go up in price over the years. A new couch or a fancy vacation cannot. So debt gets reserved only for things that pay you back later, not things that just feel good today. Rule 10 is Generationsweisheit, which means generational wisdom. In many German families, money isn't a secret topic. Parents talk about real numbers with their kids. What rent costs, what a paycheck actually covers after taxes, what debt really costs over time. Compare that to how many American families handle money talk. Often it's treated like something private, even shameful. Kids grow up guessing, then learn hard lessons on their own, later in life, when mistakes cost more. Passing down real numbers openly and early saves the next generation years of confusion. Now, step back and look at all 10 rules together. Cash envelopes, separate savings, clean credit records, paying upfront, a weekly day of rest from spending, club memberships instead of stacked subscriptions, buying used first, wearing restraint like a badge of honor, saving debt for real assets, talking openly about money at home. Different rules, but one word ties them all together: friction. Every single rule adds a small pause between wanting something and buying it. Cash makes you feel the spend. A locked savings account makes you wait to touch it. A day with no shopping removes the chance entirely. None of these rules rely on raw willpower. They work because they slow you down, just enough for your better judgment to catch up with your impulse. That's the real secret behind German money habits. It's not that people there are smarter with money or somehow immune to wanting things. It's that their systems are built with built-in speed bumps. Add enough friction between the urge to spend and the moment you actually spend, and your bank account will thank you, one small pause at a time. Section 8. Picture that same kitchen table from the start. Same chair, same cup of coffee going cold. But look closer this time, and the scene has changed. The credit card statement that once sat there, red with a balance due, is gone. In its place, a simple number on a screen: $0. No debt. No interest quietly stacking up in the background while life goes on. And next to that zero, another number has grown. $6,000 sitting safely in an account that isn't easy to touch. Money that didn't come from a lucky break or a big raise. It came from 10 small shifts. Cash instead of cards. A locked away savings account. Used furniture instead of new. One quiet day a week with no spending at all. None of these changes felt huge on their own. Nick didn't earn more money. He didn't win anything. He simply added a little friction between himself and every impulse to spend. Bit by bit, that friction turned into real, visible progress. That's the whole idea behind these 10 rules. Small pauses, repeated often enough, turn into real freedom. Not freedom to spend without limits, but freedom from debt, from stress, from wondering where the money went at the end of the month. Same table, same person, but a completely different future sitting in front of him.